Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and call this special board meeting to order. I'm going to go ahead and pass the gavel to run the meeting to my vice president. I may have to walk out to answer a phone call or two, business purposes, because our meetings are normally at 5. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the gavel, and Vice President Mason will run this special board meeting.
Thank you, Britt. All right, let's start with roll call.
Mr. Lejeune? Here. Mr. Edmond? Here. Mr. Hidalgo?
Here.
Mr. Lachalake?
Here.
Ms. Mason?
Here.
Ms. Trahan is not here. Mr. DeZarmo?
Here.
Mr. Badgerow?
Present.
And Ms. Kate LeBou is here.
All right, we're going to start with the agenda. Item 2.1, Finance, Review of 2025-2026 Budget Recap and Timeline. Do we have any public comment? Sorry. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Dugas.
So the budget recap and timeline that attached has been amended to reflect the fact that we had to cancel the May 7th meeting due to weather. We had this meeting pre-scheduled as an optional meeting we were not going to have, so what we did is just move the May 7th meeting to today. At the end of today, we asked that all budgets proceed to the adoption process. The adoption process involves having to do a public advertisement on May 22nd and May 23rd. We will have a public inspection period from May 27th to June 12th. The budget will be available both electronically on our website and physically in our district office here at Rue Iberville. Thursday, June 12th, we will have a public hearing at 4 o'clock, followed by a special board meeting to adopt the budget at 4:30. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Mr. Dugas, we're going to go through them one by one and then vote in globo at the end.
Great, thank you.
So please continue.
So the next is our discussion or action concerning the proposed general fund budget summary. So what's presented and what's posted is in 3 different levels. We have a high level, which is the PowerPoint presentation I'll be going over today. We have the budget summary, which is kind of a medium level detailed by cost center. And we have all the account numbers by account number by cost center and huge reports attached to that as a full level detail. So all that, although is attached, we're only going to go through the high level detail of the general fund recap. So basically, we start with a rollover budget. We take the fiscal year 25 budget as of January, roll it over as a starting point. The cost centers turn in their budget increases and decrease requests for the fiscal year 26 period. These requests are evaluated, and the fiscal year 26 revenues are estimated to create a starting point for the budget. After cuts to the district office cost center staff.
Mr. Dugas, hold on for a second. Can you flip the PowerPoint presentation? Who's controlling the PowerPoint?
I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. After cuts to the district office cost centers, staff was able to generate small budget surplus of $198,382 to start the process.
Can you pause just a second? Can you turn up Mr. Dugas' mic, please?
Oh, is it maybe not close enough? Probably. Okay.
No, that's better. Thank you.
So once we started with that, we started making revenue assumptions in the rollover budget. For sales tax revenue, we're assuming a 2.5% increase over last year's fiscal year 25 budget. Property tax revenues, we're assuming a 4% increase over last year's budget. Interest income reflects an increase based on actual projected collections to date in fiscal year 25. MFP increase based on an estimate of current MFP, potential charter school increase reflected in the external transfers since the state includes them in the grossed up MFP. State funding for a fiscal year 25 one-time stipend was removed from the revenue with an offsetting reduction in expenditures. I just wanted to point that out because that's like an $8 million line item that really kind of grabs your attention, but it's in both revenue and expenditures. That was one-time money sent to the state that was paid to teachers with a $2,000 raise last year, or this year. One-time funds transferred from fiscal year 25 capital COVID contingency and a settlement payment in fiscal year 26 was removed from revenue. Indirect costs paid to the general fund from grants was reduced due to the decrease in grant funding caused by the ending of ESSER in 2025. Then we went to some expenditure assumptions in the rollover budget. Cost center request increased expenditures of a little over $3 million, with the largest increase in transfers to charter schools, property insurance, and health insurance. These increased requests were reduced by $1,585,000 in cost center budget cuts and reduction requests, with the largest reductions in workers' comp, transportation, and transfers to debt service. Budget adjustments, requests, and initiatives. So these are the things that once we got to that point, we're looking at basically the transfer to charter schools, the transfer to self-funded construction, the goal of starting teacher salaries at $50,000, teacher and administrative incentives and stipends for extracurricular activities, and the implementation of ACE at the Alice Boucher Elementary campus. The first thing that we looked at was the local revenue diverted to charter schools. As you can see here, we have the historical numbers and also the projection for 26 and also a projection for 27. The next chart, is that same information in a chart form just to show what has happened over the last 10 years. So we come to increases in charter schools. Due to the expansion of Lafayette Charter Academy, staff is estimating an increase in transfers to charter schools of $4,643,840. To offset this increase, $3.4 million of MFP mitigation funds that we reserve for this purpose will be utilized, combined with an increase in MFP revenue of $1.2 million available to conservative budgeting in the previous year. Then we have increased transfer to self-funded construction, future debt. The amount of bond proceeds needed to complete pending construction projects after use of reserves set aside for these projects will require an additional $4 million of annual debt service. The rollover budget already had $3 million in the budget, so we needed to add an additional $1 million that would be needed to budget the debt service after the debt is issued. Also like to say, as we issue debt, we do have the highest bond rating in the state, higher than the state of Louisiana. We are AA1. The state is only AA. So something to be very proud of. We've worked very hard for that. The next was a goal to increase teacher salaries to the $50,000 benchmark. To improve recruitment and retention of certified teachers, the superintendent established a goal of increasing the starting salary for teachers to $50,000. The net cost of the general fund beyond the 2002 tax funding capacity of $4.5 million is estimated to be $1,386,864 with benefits. Teachers funded with grant funds or other funding sources will be funded with the funding source associated with each position. Next, we have the Instructional Administrative Pay Scale Index on $50,000 for the teacher benchmark. The estimated cost of adjusting the instructional pay scale is about $1,141,000. The estimated cost of adjusting the administrative pay scale is $162,000 for a total of a little over $1.3 million. Then we come to our teacher incentives. To encourage learning and growth in particular core content subjects, the superintendent would like to offer incentive pay for teachers teaching those core courses and for meeting certain benchmarks. The estimated cost of this incentive pay is about $3 million. Administrative incentives. To reward administrators that meet certain academic goals, the superintendent would like to offer an incentive program for school-based administrators. The estimated cost of this incentive is right under $400,000. Then we come to stipends for extracurricular activities. To encourage staff to engage students in extracurricular activities, the superintendent would like to offer stipends for various activities such as band, clubs, and coaching. The estimated cost of these stipends, $655,000. Then we have the general fund cost of the implementation of the ACE program in Alice Boucher. Beginning in the fiscal year 26 school year, Alice Boucher Elementary will operate under the ACE model. Although most of the additional cost of this program is funded by a generous donation from the Pew Foundation, the general fund will be responsible for about $91,800 annually. So next we come to our tally sheet, and we have a negative of about $7,633,189, and those numbers are strictly taken from the previous slides. Come to cost savings, how we're going to pay for this. So the reorganization of the district office approved by the board in February resulted in eliminating and adjusting positions, generated a budget savings of $1,274,000. Next was budget opportunities, optimization, school consolidation, and staffing adjustments. A comprehensive review of staffing at all the schools in light of the recent decline in enrollment and other factors resulted in the elimination of consolidation of many positions. In addition, the closing of S.J. Montgomery and the reconfiguration of Lafayette Middle to Lafayette Elementary, as well as attendance zone modifications, allowed for a more efficient staffing and reductions of overhead. The estimated combined savings in staffing is about $6.2 million. The estimated savings in utilities from closing S.J. Montgomery, about $160,000, for a total savings of $6,359,189. So we started with our $7.6 million deficit. Between the reorganization and the optimization, we come to a balanced budget. Additional notes for self-funded insurance, health insurance challenge. In fiscal year 25, the general fund transferred $6.6 million to the self-funded insurance fund for the operational deficit in that fund. In fiscal year 26, the $6.6 million will be transferred again to mitigate the potential self-funded insurance operational deficit. It is estimated that even with the fiscal year 26 general fund transfer, the health insurance fund will need an additional $5, actually updated to probably $6.1 million in fiscal year 26 in plan design savings to overcome a deficit. So what you're going to see in the subsequent budget is basically a rollover budget pending decisions on the, we didn't want to start cutting until we know exactly where that fell out. So we're just kind of doing a placeholder budget until we can figure out what that actual number is. That's, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Dugas, I know that they recently signed an executive order to reduce the cost of pharmaceuticals, and I know that's a huge part of that budget. Do you think that will have any positive effect, or do we know when that will even go into a place?
Trish, would you like to comment? Or
I apologize.
Gallagher?
I just didn't know the effective date, or if we expect any type of positive return from that executive order.
Yes, this is Kim Briard with Gallagher. We're aware of the executive order. It's a little too early to know what the impact is going to be from the executive order. The Trump administration in his first term attempted the same executive order, and some things were shot down and not able to go through just with case law and things like that. So it's a little too early to know really what the impact is going to be quite yet.
So that being said, we can move over to the next budget. Are there any other questions?
All right, please continue.
Our next is the special revenue budget. Special revenue budget. Basically, this is our grants, and you may be used to seeing this in one report. It's now being, for efficiency purposes and accountability, being separated into two separate reports. One that depends on what we call EGMS, which is the state system of how we get money from the state, and one that is not EGMS. So we have basically estimates of grants and the expenditure of those grants, and of course, it's grant money, so what comes in gets budgeted to be spent. Any questions on special revenue? Seeing none?
All right,
The next,
2.4.
yes, 2.4.
Thank you.
Capital Projects Fund. If you remember the Capital Projects Fund, it looks like a sparse budget, but let me remind the board that early in last year, we pre-funded all the fiscal year 26 projects into fiscal year 25. So even though the budget may seem kind of skimpy, most of the projects are in the fiscal year 25 budget, so that they can start to occur over the summer break when kids are not in school. So basically, if you look, there are 2 pages. There are over 100 projects in process for next year that are in the fiscal year 25 budget that will probably carry over into the fiscal year 26 budget. The next is self-funded construction, same situation as the capital, where the fiscal year 26 budgets were pre-funded in fiscal year 25. In here, we have about 150 projects that are pending. So basically, together, you have about 350 projects that will be occurring or budgeted to occur in fiscal year 26.
All right, now we're at 2.6.
Yes. Debt service budget. This is the budget that we pay our debt with. Obviously, I want to point out a couple of things. This does not include the new debt yet. Once the debt is issued, The budget will be revised to reflect the new debt obligation with an offset to the $4 million budgeted in the general fund as a transfer. Also, if we go to page 3, you can see our debt service. This is our entire debt service schedule through the year 2057. We have a drop-off. We don't have a drop-off in debt service to the year 2023. At that point, we have a drop-off in about $2.4 million in that year, which would allow us to issue more debt at that point if the board should choose to do so with no effect on the budget.
All right, next to 2.7.
This is the school food service fund. It's a balanced fund mostly. This is your federal revenue basically paying for our meals and our food service program.
And I'm happy to say that we're going to continue with free lunch for all kids next year.
The next one is the Cafe Beauregard. We are budgeting a small surplus. That is the goal is to have that balance or make a small amount of money as we coordinate that with our students from the Culinary Academy. It's in a separate fund to keep it separate, so we make sure that we monitor that it does balance and that we keep track of that separately. We also do pay sales tax on all taxable sales. My sales tax people are here checking on us.
Mr.
Just to be clear,
Bergeron has a
sorry.
question.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Bergeron has a question.
Just to be clear, that's a self-funded fund, right? It's funded from the sale of
Yes.
food and products. Okay.
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes, Jeremy.
Mr. Dugas, it's self-funded, but let me ask you this, the expenses, food costs, labor costs, administrative fees. Was this the initial, does this include the initial cost to set it up, or is this year 1 operations only?
This would actually be year 2 operations.
Year
Yeah.
2 operations only?
Yeah, it's year 2 operations only.
So can you repeat what you said, that there is a surplus?
We are budgeting a surplus. We haven't finished the first year to know where we're going to end up.
After year 1, where do we stand?
We looked at it yesterday, and there's some contractual issues that haven't been worked out with the vendor, so we don't know exactly where we are, but we think we should be relatively close to break even, we hope. We don't know exactly yet.
Okay, well, I look forward to coupling the financial impact, which looks like it'll be a surplus, with the student impact, of what we're really doing for the students, even if we just wash out. I know this is not the appropriate meeting, but I'm looking forward to that report.
All right, are we moving on to 2.8 now?
Yes.
Okay.
2.9.
Sorry, 2.9.
Yeah, this is the group insurance fund, as we mentioned previously in the general fund review. This is basically a roll forward budget. It includes the $6.6 million of transfer from the general fund. I would like to focus on note number 9, where it references the need for cost savings adjustment of an estimated $6.1 million. The district has decided to assess various future cost savings measures in order to reduce the funding that might be needed. This will be handled as budget revisions once the adjustments can be more accurately determined.
Thank you. 2.10.
This is the 2002 half-cent sales tax. There's 2 changes here. One is the funding of the teacher raises. $4.5 million of the cost will be coming out of the 2002 tax. This was presented to the Blue Ribbon Committee and was very heartily endorsed by them. This is kind of a simple way and make sure that all teachers will get a part of that tax rather than maybe incentives, which would be on and off. So this would be across the board. It's what the tax was designed to do. Also, in your professional development, we have removed one optional in-service day. The academic team felt that because not all teachers attended, that it really wasn't very effective from an academic standpoint, that the money could be better used in other ways.
Ms. Mason, can I have a minute?
Yes.
So just to make sure that all of the board members are aware of this, that this is to make sure that when we start next school year, in October, there will be nothing that will be taken out of it to where it will have a dramatic impact on funding for teachers. This is something for the 26-27. And what we did is we called in the Blue Ribbon Committee and we asked again what was their opinions, and it was unanimous that they were in favor of this. So in the fall of 25-26, the sizable amounts that has been given to teachers will continue, because it's always a year lag. So we just thought, before we brought this to you, that we sought input from various people to make sure that they were good with where we were going with this.
Okay, any questions? The last one is 2.11, that is the combined sales tax fund. That is we are the collection agency for the parish, and this is just the expenses for that office, and that is spread between all the entities that we collect sales tax for.
Ms. Mason? Yes.
Sorry, you have a question?
Yes, on the 2002 tax generally, what has been the average increase or decrease that we've budgeted, let's just say over the last 5 years?
We have a history of that. Can we pull that up?
I mean, are you guys using the $4 million for the teacher increase in pay? Or is that in line with what the increase normally looks like, or is that way off?
The 4 million is an additional increase for
I know.
next year. I don't understand the question.
I know. What has been the increase year over year for the 2002 tax in general?
It's been different years at different amounts voted by the board. Sometimes they got a one-time check, a bigger one-time check, and a small raise. I think
I'm
last
talking
year.
about the increase in tax revenue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking expenditures. It's varied. It's been coming up, of course, in the last few years with inflation. We have automatic kind of built in.
I'm just trying to get, I know we're not going to get a number. I'm not asking for a number, but I'm asking for an idea on what that 14th check is going to continue to look like once this $4 million and subsequent amounts impact that fund.
Okay.
I have a feeling the check's still going to look
Yes.
very similar to the way
So
it does
preliminary
today.
estimates, and look, I hate to say any numbers because they're going to try to hold me to it, but we think it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of about 600 still, 700.
Okay, thank you.
But board members, remember that when that impact is going to happen in 26, 27, we're going to start seeing that the revenue from Buc-ee's and sales tax dollars that are happening from other different, I believe that you're going to see more than a $600 payout for teachers. And I agree with Mr. Hidalgo that there are some things that are going to come up, and you're going to start seeing things kind of equal out. So that's why I feel comfortable that what we're taking here, if not, teachers would be getting, it would be doubled what they were getting before.
Yes, Ms. LeBeau?
I think isn't the Costco development going to come out of the tax exemption?
That's a property tax, not a sales tax.
Okay, but not, okay.
So it doesn't affect the 2002 tax, the sales from Costco, of course, but that's always been.
Right, that's
It's
always
the-
been generated, but the property tax is
The
just going
property
to.
tax exemption will, I
Are there
believe,
any other exemptions that are rolling off that we should expect to get?
not that big, but
Okay.
from what I understand, it's Costco and that whole development around Costco.
And that
So
development, do you know how much that would generate? And that'll be next year or this year?
That'll be probably, I believe, 27
Okay.
if Justin, because our
Yeah.
fiscal year and the collection years are different. So I believe Justin had mentioned it'd be in 27, and we
Yeah,
expected
I
that to
remember that
come
being
off.
discussed. Okay. Yeah, we need Mr. Centeni to let us know. Thank you.
Also, the interest in tonight's information item, the interest check, which is truly what we call the real 13th check, is going to be over $500 this year. So that is something they're going to get on the last day of school.
$500? It's normally
$598.
It's normally like $50.
It was a little higher last year. We've had because we reserved money. The $1,000 raise put more money into the reserve, so therefore you have more interest, and the interest rates did go up.
Nice.
Remember, we're a year behind. So Merry Christmas.
Wait, that's $598 they're going to get in May? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So that's
It-
in addition to the 13th check is a 14th check.
Correct.
That's
There's a 13th check, and the 14th check is truly by the whim of the board. The 13th check is per the actual action required. So we're not even, tonight you're going to see an information item because we don't need your approval for the 14th check. It's the interest collected on the reserve. With the $1,000 raise, the reserve went up, and interest rates also went up. So now we were able to pay a bigger interest check the last day of school.
All right, Ms. Gardner, did you have something to add? Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify the difference between the 13th and 14th.
Oh, one more, last one.
Just to be clear for the record, that's $598, not $5.98, correct? Want to be clear.
$598. That's before taxes, retirement, and everything else. So yeah, it'll be whatever. After. It'll be a pleasant surprise, and it will be a separate direct deposit. So you will see it, and it won't be included in your normal check. It'll show in your bank statement as another deposit.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that said, 2.12, can I have a motion from anyone, please?
Madam Vice President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve all items, all consent agenda items.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Britt Latchley and a second by Roddy Bergeron. I'd like to call for public comment, please. No one? Okay, hearing none, I'm calling for board comment, please. Hearing none, okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, I call for the vote. Thank you, Brett.
As you're voting, I'd like to thank the staff. We worked very hard on this budget. Anthony was extremely involved. As you know, this is my last budget. I'll be retiring. So Anthony was very much involved in this process, so it should be somewhat seamless.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to adjourn the, sorry.
Oh, we got to vote.
I'm sorry. Going too fast.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our regular board meeting will start at 5 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.